Hi, Dave Wilson here again, and today I'm going to talk to you about the Smith's little torch, a small gas and air torch. But before I do, I think it's important that you understand what the different types of torches are and why you'd want to choose this over a different one. This, for example, this is my Seavert torch. I'm sure you're familiar with these, very popular, great beginner's torch. This is gas and air, and what this means is you have a single hose. This just connects to a small gas bottle, propane, butane, whatever. So what that means is that the nozzle has to suck oxygen from the air around us. But if you want a higher temperature, or you want a very fine nozzle, then what you need to do is you need to get the oxygen going into the actual torch itself. Excuse me. So this is where you have the gas and oxygen, and these allow the hottest flame and the finest flame. So this is what the Smith little torch is. So come with me, let's take a look at it. So beautifully presented, make a great gift for someone, and let's show you what we've got inside it. So we've got a few bits of paperwork. This is very important, I'll come back to this in a moment. And what you have is you've got the main body of the torch here, a selection of nozzles, and you have two hoses which are pre-attached. On the end of the hoses, if I can just turn this round without dropping all the nozzles, at the end of the hoses you've got two standard gas connectors, so therefore fitting straight onto your gas and oxygen system. A red one and a green one. Red for gas, green for oxygen. So let's take this out and let's have a closer look at it for you. So here we can see a close-up of the torch itself. It's made out of metal, anodised aluminium by the looks of it, and you've got two control valves there for the gas and the oxygen. And this is one of the nozzles. This particular set comes with 5 of them, and you've got a copper nozzle, and you've got this rotating nut round it. And very important to note, the number of the nozzle is stamped on the back because the numbers are different sizes. So all you do, nice and simple, just with your fingers, no tools required, just pop it on and just screw that there. Once you've got it screwed on, just rotate the nozzle to the direction that you want it, so you want it angled away from the handle. And then once you've got it where you want it, just put a last little tighten on that. Just finger tight, that's all you need. You don't need tools or spanners. The hoses are pre-attached, as you've seen, so that's it. So let's get the gas bottles out and I'll show you the gas setup and a couple of other things that you need to connect this up. This is propane, which is red. You can also get butane as well, which are in the blue cylinders. Now, I got this from a petrol station just round the corner. Very inexpensive. You usually have to pay a couple of pounds deposit, but then actually getting refills are fairly cheap. I've actually had this bottle for about 3 years now, and I'm still using it. When you've got a little torch like this, it doesn't use much gas at all, so it's very economical. So that is the propane. You also need oxygen, so small oxygen cylinder here. And you're going to need 2 other things. You're going to need regulators, and you're going to need flashback arresters. And what they do is, these are just 2 little safety devices. They're only a few pounds, so get them fitted and it just gives you that little peace of mind. It's just an extra safety feature. Now when you buy a regulator, you need an adjustable one, because depending on the size of nozzle that you want to use, you need to be able to adjust the pressure of the gas. So very important that you get an adjustable regulator. This is connected to my gas. This bottom one is connected to my oxygen line, and these are the connectors on the back of the little torch. So remember, the green one for the oxygen. Now, important point to note, that screws on normally, so that is screwing on clockwise. Okay, so that just threads onto there, nice and tight. The gas fittings screw on the opposite way. It's to prevent you from mixing them up. So your gas, you've actually got to imagine that you're unscrewing it. It actually goes the opposite way. A little bit awkward there, just get that in there. So if I screw it anti-clockwise, as if I'm unscrewing it, that actually screws it on. So, especially when you're tightening them up with a spanner, don't forget to tighten them up the right way. Once you've got everything nice and tight, lock off your torch, turn on your gas and oxygen and check it for leaks. Now, you can get proprietary sprays for checking for leaks. The simplest thing is soapy water. Get yourself a little sprayer bottle with a bit of fairy liquid in it, just squirt it on, and if you see any bubbles, you can see where the leaks are, so just tighten it up. If tightening it up doesn't work, then one thing you can use is what's called PTFE tape. This is plastic plumber's tape. And all you do is you wrap this round your thread, nice and thin, just a couple of layers before you put your nut on, and that'll prevent any leaks. I've got a number 3 nozzle, so that tells me I need 4 psi, and that's going to give me a flame of about 1.5 inches. Okay, so the bigger the nozzle, the bigger the flame, the more gas and oxygen that it's going to burn, so the higher the pressure. So I've got my number 3 nozzle on, I've got my gas adjusted, so let's light it up. When you first put it on, there's going to be air in the lines, so the first thing we need to do is purge them. So purely and simply, open the gas, so just give it a few seconds and let the gas come through. Likewise with the oxygen, just give that a few seconds, just let the oxygen come out. Okay, safety goggles on, just not even a quarter of a turn, an eighth of a turn, just to open the gas up. I'm using a flint lighter, don't use a cigarette lighter. There we go. Now this is a number 3 nozzle, so this is the finest in this set. There is actually a number 2 which is even smaller than this. We can see the flame there, hopefully you can see that on the camera. So just a little bit more gas. Now if you give it too much gas, you will blow the flame out. So you want it as big as possible, but when it looks like it's starting to blow out, you'll hear it hissing, you'll see the flame moving away, just back off a little bit. Okay, so we've got the yellow flame there, so that is just the gas that's burning. I can now turn on the oxygen, and you'll see it turn blue, and the flame turns blue, and you'll hear it start to hiss as it gets hotter. And there we go. Now hopefully you can see that on the camera. Let's put a block behind it there. So hopefully you can see that. That is a very, very tiny little flame. But if you remember what I said earlier, because we've got the oxygen being fed right into it, that is a very hot flame. So we'll swap it over now. We'll try a different nozzle. You can see that's a lot bigger flame. And then as we turn on the oxygen, you'll start to hear it hissing and it'll go cone shaped. And we've now got quite a large flame. You might not be able to see that on the camera, but the flame extends to about here, the blue tip, and then the actual flame itself goes out here. So there's a lot of heat here. And that is a very hot flame. So I've got a little crucible here. So let's just show you how hot this flame is. So don't think that this is just for fine delicate jobs. If you change the nozzle, this torch is perfectly good for any soldering jobs or even small casting and melting jobs. And you can see here, just within a few seconds, it's starting to melt. And that's because of the oxygen. Because we're pumping oxygen into it, we're getting a much hotter flame. I'm using propane here. I could use butane, which would get a little bit hotter. Or if you wanted to work with platinum, then you could use oxyacetylene. But just a word of warning, if you're going to go with acetylene, do make sure you read up, you check out what you're doing with it, because that does have a few danger hazards associated with it. So there we go, that's almost cast now. So I'll leave that there. I think I've sort of demonstrated the point there. There's more nozzles available that you can buy, straight ones, curved ones, double-ended ones. There's a casting nozzle. There's also a magnetic stand, which I think I might treat myself to. It's made in America, well made, great quality. All the spare parts and nozzles are available for it. So there you go, I highly recommend it. The Smith Little Torch. Might be a little torch, but it packs a lot of heat. Thanks for watching. I've been Dave Wilson.